And before we go, a reminder of our headlines. Security Watch Africa has conferred the Golden Star Award for Distinguished Leadership in Africa on Professor Jame by virtue of his sterling stewardship qualities. Another batch of patients treated for fertility problems by the President's Alternative Medical Treatment Program has joined the growing list of hopefuls looking forward to delivering babies. Protesters angered by the acute financial situation affecting many major economies have stormed various capitals, calling for drastic measures to halt the worsening global economic downturn. And TIES has working round the clock to have their capital city Bangkok from surging flood waters after months of devastating monsoon rains blamed for the inundation of huge parts of Southeast Asia. That's it for the news. Thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of our programs.
Church that had, never existed before, was going to be started brand new. It started, yes. How would I get people to come to the services? Meetings held at the cinema. So when we gathered on Sundays, we were so few. The cinema hall. So I decided to apply these principles. I would walk in the early mornings, because film shows would usually start anytime from 12 noon. So I would walk into the hall alone and I would be speaking to myself. I would walk up and down the aisles of the cinema hall speaking to myself. In my imagination, I saw the whole place filled with people, and I spoke out to them. I welcomed them, thanked them for coming, told them I was excited to have them present. I behaved as if it was real. Why? I had just discovered a verse in the Bible where Almighty God spoke about some human beings that they were out to execute a project and that nothing will be restrained from them which they were planning or imagining. Powerful, and that whatever becomes real in that imagination will become real in our lives. So I would walk into the cinema hall, I would walk up and down, I would imagine the whole place filled with people, I would speak to those people, and I would walk out of the cinema hall. Then it was one small office space that we were given. Then I would go in there and sit down on a chair and ask myself, how does it feel to be the leader of a church of 2,000 people? Listen, at that time, we were about 150. So, I don't know, but I saw that it did something to my emotions. It did something to my feelings, did something to my mind. The picture was becoming stronger, and the confidence grew in my heart. Doubt gradually faded away from my heart. Let me talk about the office itself. I would sit down in the office and imagine my table, beautiful chair. What I started with were just, things that would, just serve for the time being. But I was imagining something better than that. Let me, say to you that it was only a matter of time. In between the time I was dreaming and the time it became reality, I went through a tough time, because when you're dreaming like that, you're using your imagination, and then your circumstances go in the opposite direction. I'm telling you, it can be very discouraging. Very. So it takes a lot of courage, takes endurance, takes patience, but eventually, I can tell you, dreams come to pass. Dreams come to pass. You may seem to people around you like you're crazy. I mean, can you imagine a man walking into an empty cinema hall and talking to imaginary people? On a normal day, what would you say? He has some problems upstairs. He needs to be attended to by a doctor. But listen, if you are going to achieve outstanding success, you will have to do crazy things sometimes. You'll have to do things that don't make sense to people. But you know that you are applying some very, very powerful principles. I knew I was applying some powerful principles, and eventually they came to pass. I was dreaming. I sat down in the office. I imagined the kind of chair I was going to have, the kind of table I was going to have, the kind of car I was going to drive. In fact, let me talk to you about that car. My first car ever, okay? I did something. I saw someone who had a beautiful car, and I gave the person a gift and said, I'm going to have a car very soon too. Interesting. And I just developed that strong belief in my heart I was going to get the car. So it happened that I got some money, and it wasn't enough. But while I was waiting to get the rest of the money, then I said, let me zero in now on what kind of a car it is. And one day I was driving on the road, then I saw this car. I said, that is it. It was a Nissan car, Nissan Bluebird. That was many years ago. Okay, 2.0 GL, to be specific. I said, that's it. And from that day, I began to observe. Okay, there weren't many of them in town, but the few that were, I spotted them. So one day, I did something. I went somewhere and I saw the car parked in front of that is my kind of car. That is it.